Hi, and welcome to Three Questions With. Got my friend Will Salazar with us. Hey, Will, welcome to the show.
Hey Kevin, how are you doing today?
Everything's good, my brother. Just living the dream. So I want to jump right in. Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things medical professionals should know about the student loan forgiveness. How will this impact them, Will?
Well, what a lot of folks don't realize is that the program itself has been expanded, and they made it easier to apply for. Now, this includes all 501c nonprofit corporations, and since we're mostly a Massachusetts-based advisory firm, that really impacts employees of MGH Brigham's, because MGH Brigham is a 501c nonprofit. And if you're not sure, they should check out the Public Student Loan Forgiveness website for more information. Even if they're unsure with their organization's status, they should still apply because there's a hope. I don't know how hopeful you are, Kevin, but for a lot of folks, there's a hope that the U.S. Department of Education will expand the system even further. And really and truly, when I've talked to experts, people way smarter about this stuff than me, the thing that they keep telling me, and the consistent piece of information that I hear, is that just apply, be in the system, because once you're in the system, then if the program gets expanded even more, if they open it up to all medical professionals, regardless of organizational status, that you're in. And that's really the hardest part, is really the paperwork aspect of it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be any downside to applying then. So
Yeah.
what are some of the four common financial mistakes that medical professionals make then? Well, based on your experience, what do you commonly see?
Well, the biggest thing is getting a late start. Being a medical professional, nurse, physician's assistant, doctor, it has a high barrier of entry in time and money. Doctors, just as an example, doctors basically live their 20s and early 30s in medical school. Same for physicians, assistants, and nurses, in that people want these professions to have masters and PhDs, so it's taking longer and longer and longer to become established in the profession. So a lot of folks, when they start working, making a paycheck, they're in their mid to late 20s, and so they feel like they're behind. But because of the nature of the business, though, you do make more money, so you can make that behind feeling up. Another mistake that I often see is not having a student loan strategy. That's why public student loan forgiveness is so important, because let's face it, the average student loan balance is going up for nurses. It's between $55,000 and $60,000, PAs northward of 100, and doctors, I could buy a couple houses with a doctor's student loan balance. So that said, it requires a strategy, and it needs to be approached like a long-term chronic illness, and that it needs a care plan. And there's no quick fix about it. You just need to make a plan of some sort and approach it like that. And that's why applying for public student loan forgiveness is such an important thing. The third common mistake I always see with medical professionals is ignoring their own risk management. Now, what does that mean? Is that, well, now more than ever, medical professionals, nurses, PAs, doctors are being stretched thinner and thinner. And there's more and more pressure put on them today than ever. And you have to have a good level of risk management, personal insurance, and in some cases, professional insurance in place to make sure that it can meet your needs. And more often than not, a lot of medical professionals are just not really seeing that. And then the fourth one is thinking you can just work your way out of it, meaning just work forever. A common thing that I hear often is, I can just work until I drop. And because of the high barrier to entry in time and money, but on the other side of that barrier, generally is a long, rewarding career, a lot of medical professionals just think I'm just going to keep working and working and working and working. Yet, as we see, more nurses, doctors, PAs are stretched thinner and thinner. there's no slack in the system, so to speak. And so it's just getting harder and harder. Burnout rates are increasing higher and higher, and meaning that most careers will probably be cut short by 10 or 15 years, if not more. You can see it, like a lot of nurses are leaving the profession altogether. So, not having those four things kind of taken care of can create a lot of uncertainty and can cause you to have to work a lot harder than you have to.
So, Will, based on that, what's the one overlooked thing that medical professionals should be aware of from a financial standpoint then?
Really, I mean, there's so many, but one thing that I see pop up more and more and more is to be aware of your group benefits. Hospitals offer generally pretty good healthcare, disability, long-term care, 401k, 403b. They offer great benefits, but they're not the end all be all. They're supplements. And a lot of nurses specifically, and I focus on nurses, is that it's a physical profession where you're moving patients and there's a lot of repetitive injuries. And here, let's just kind of take a step back. Last year, over 29,000 nurses were injured with an average time away from work of 12 days. Now, a lot of that's probably COVID related, and there's been an uptick in patient unruliness. But even when you consider that, the average benefit cost, or the average benefit paid out for a group benefit policy, generally only meets about 50% of your income. And a lot of nurses don't realize that, where what they may need is a supplement to that of a short-term or long-term disability policy. And so how that, I guess I'm a little lost here, but how that works out is that, like, a lot of nurses, specifically nurses, are kind of leaving themselves a little short. And if they get hurt at work, they're out for 12 days. And generally physical accidents are reoccurring in nature. So that tweaked back that you felt fine 6 months from now, you can tweak it again, and your group benefits may not pay that. And to that, and again, I'm focusing on nurses, 91% of nurses are women. And it's important for women to understand how pregnancy and short-term disability works, especially with the new Massachusetts Family Medical Leave Act coming into play, because again, Mass FMLA is just a supplement. The max benefit for that per week is $1,084. Seems like a lot, but if you're making about $85,000, $90,000, you're expecting more income coming in every week or every 2 weeks. So it's really important to understand how your benefits work and how they kind of have gaps in them by design, because of course they're not end all be all, but how you have to kind of be aware of those gaps so that if and when you do get hurt, you're not left hanging.
Well, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more, my friend?
I'm active on LinkedIn. If you just type in Will Salazar, I usually pop up at the top. And you can find me on my website, beahappynurse.com. And those are two of the best ways to find me. You can also email me at wsalazar@htk.com.
Well, I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to come on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.